Hello everyone, I'm Benjamin Cure. Welcome to the Benjamin Cure Show. Some breaking news just as we're hitting the air today. The NFL, the NFLPA, and Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson have agreed to terms on an unprecedented settlement. Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 11 games, but he won't even play until week 13. Also included in that deal, Deshaun Watson will pay a record $5 million fine. This is believed to be the biggest fine levied against a player in NFL history. Watson's $5 million will be paired up with $1 million each from the NFL and the Browns organization. The NFL plans to use the full fine of $7 million to invest in organizations that prevent sexual misconduct and sexual assault. In addition, Watson will undergo a mandatory evaluation by behavioral experts, and he will follow their suggested treatment program. Watson is slated to return in Week 13 against none other than his former team, the Houston Texans. Now that we've covered the facts and the terms of the settlement, here are my thoughts. I understand that there are many who are upset that Watson is even allowed to play in the NFL, period. Some people wanted an indefinite suspension. You saw that on Twitter. You saw it from the fan base. You saw it from a lot of people. Some wanted a multi-year suspension. At some point, that was a conversation. Could this bleed into next year? That simply wasn't going to happen. The maximum punishment that we could realistically see happening and conceive was a full season, the full regular season this year. Let's look at the parties involved in this and see what their intentions were. The NFL seemed like they were going to appeal the decision by Sue Robinson. They were going to go for a full season suspension. That was the talk after the original 6-game suspension. But let's be honest. The NFL doesn't want to be in a situation where they get sued by the NFL Players Association, then this case drags on, and Deshaun Watson ends up playing week 1. That would have been a nightmare. It was possibly the NFL's worst case scenario. Corporate partners, sponsors, TV networks, the fans, they would have all blamed the NFL if after all of that, Deshaun Watson started week 1. So, the NFL wanted to settle. Now let's talk about the NFL Players Association. While they were threatening to sue, the NFLPA doesn't exactly have a great record against the league. They don't often go against the shield and win in these kinds of cases. So, the NFLPA wanted to settle. Lastly, I'm going to combine the last two parties involved, Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Ultimately, as upsetting as it may be, they just wanted Deshaun Watson to play sooner than later so he could win games. That was their end goal, to win. That's why despite the noise, despite the uncertainty, despite the court of public opinion, Cleveland gave Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed because they only care about winning. And Deshaun Watson gave the Browns the best possibility of winning, a better chance than the franchise has had in a long time. So as the last parties involved in this case, Deshaun Watson and the Browns wanted to settle. The 4 parties wanted to settle. Ultimately, it feels right. It's not a full season. It's not even the 12 games that I felt should have been the minimum punishment. But the games missed, combined with the fine, and the league's commitment to spreading awareness and protecting women feels like as right of a call as you can get in this situation. In the end, there will be no lawsuit, no appeal, no countersuit, but we do get this. And this conclusion, while it may not feel right, should allow us to move on. We won't forget this. It will not be forgotten, but we will move forward as a league. As I was prepping for the show yesterday, I thought this would be our biggest story. LeBron James agreed to terms on a 2-year, $97.1 million extension with the LA Lakers. There's not a no-trade clause because it's not a new deal. It's simply an extension. But the language of the deal makes it pretty hard to move LeBron anyway. There's a 15% trade kicker in the contract, along with the fact that James is simply ineligible to be traded during the upcoming season because the second year's extension exceeds a 5% raise. And those are all terms that are in the collective bargaining agreement. So they're probably not going to move him, is the end of that. In essence, LeBron is not going to be able to hit the free agency market next season, which was a big question surrounding all of this. LeBron will not leave Los Angeles, And LeBron James was not going to leave Los Angeles. Since he got to LA, LeBron has doubled his net worth. He's grown his production companies to new heights, his businesses, his portfolio. He's grown his reach from being a basketball superstar to a basketball and entertainment icon. The truth was, even in those moments where it was a little bit uncertain, a little bit chippy, LeBron James was never going to leave the Lakers because he himself didn't want to. Every one of his ventures has grown exponentially in size and reach. It has scaled 2- and 3-fold. He doesn't want to walk out on paradise. Now, paradise doesn't necessarily mean that everything is perfect, because it's not perfect. This morning we're hearing, as Bleacher Report came on, that LeBron James' decision to sign an extension with the Lakers came despite his private insistence that the Lakers improve the current roster and trade for Kyrie Irving. We're seeing that name again. So the king in this situation has some demands. While he would love nothing more to stay in LA, even at 38 years old, he's got enough gas in the tank for another title run. He knows that. The organization knows that. Us as fans do acknowledge that. He had an excellent season individually, despite what the rest of his team did last year. So he doesn't want to waste the next 2 years with the LA Lakers thinking that he's not in a position to win it all. He thinks he can win with Kyrie Irving. And damn his unpredictability, he wants to share the court with Kyrie. And honestly, it could work. The only player in the NBA who can handle Kyrie, who can outshine him, who can outdo him in that locker room is LeBron James. Let's think about this for a second. The only person in the NBA. Kevin Durant is not the firm leader type. He's not capable of keeping a teammate in check or holding them accountable. We saw it with Harden when he came in out of shape. We've seen it with Kyrie. We saw it with Westbrook in the OKC days. Especially not with someone of Kyrie's nature. He's not the I'm going to hold you accountable type of guy. KD's not confrontational, which is why earlier this week and last week we were shocked by the news of his meeting with the Nets owner, Joe Tsai, where we heard that Kevin Durant reportedly told Joe Tsai, it's either me or Steve Nash and Sean Marks. We're shocked because that's not Kevin Durant at all. Kevin Durant is not the one you expect to stronghold an owner or a whole team. But LeBron James, LeBron is that type of leader. He's done it before. He's a guy who is totally comfortable with being in absolute control, and he's totally comfortable with holding you accountable. It's not an uncomfortable situation for him. He's a natural-born leader. Now, as a leader, he's in his element. He's not going to back down from a prickly teammate. That's why LeBron James is the only teammate that I trust in the NBA to make Kyrie a superstar on a championship contending team. Now, although Kyrie Irving's perspective has changed with the wind, he has stated in the past that in retrospect, he appreciates LeBron's leadership style. Looking back, he understands what LeBron was trying to accomplish. And LeBron thinks so too. He thinks he can get the best out of Kyrie. He can get what no one has been able to get out of Kyrie since his days in Cleveland. But only time will tell. So what's next for LeBron? What happens after this Laker contract? Well, LeBron's contract is up as soon as 2024 unless he opts in. In 2024, Bronny James, LeBron's oldest son, is eligible for the NBA. LeBron has reportedly stated that it is his goal to share the NBA court with his son, something which, by the way, has never been accomplished before. The only thing we've seen remotely close is Doc Rivers coaching his son. We've never seen two players, active players, father and son, share the court. So you see where this is going. You see how big this storyline could be, how big it could be for LeBron's legacy. On top of this being the best deal right now for LeBron, the extension also gives him the flexibility to achieve what he's always wanted to accomplish, his ultimate goal, playing alongside his son. Aaron Rodgers has been speaking his mind and making headlines all summer long. This week is no different. After a team practice, Aaron Rodgers shared his frustration with his teammates, particularly his young wide receivers, how they need to be better. He's not a fan of the drop passes or the running of the wrong routes, which we saw in that first preseason game. Aaron made it abundantly clear that he will choose the wide receivers this season. And he alone will do it, not the coaches. Here's how I look at this. I'm okay with Aaron Rodgers doing this now. I think your wide receivers are struggling early and you're trying to light a fire under their bellies. And you're doing this publicly, and doing it early on does work. Especially since these guys aren't elite talent or widely known stars. You're doing it at the beginning of the season. Notice the words that I'm stressing here and I'm using as almost a but. I would not find this acceptable from Aaron Rodgers during the season. Number one, you're a team. You don't want to be publicly ripping teammates once the season's underway. That screams and reeks of weakness, and it alerts other teams that you're vulnerable. If another team learns that there's a leak in your ship, they're going to want to fire a cannonball right into the side of your boat. They want to sink your ship, and you're pretty much inviting them to do so. So that's number one. Number two, more specifically to Aaron Rodgers. Come on. You didn't expect this? You didn't plan for this? Aaron Rodgers made it very clear, not just privately, but publicly. I want what's mine. I'm the back-to-back MVP. I am the Packers franchise, and I want to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And after a lot of back and forth and constant leaks as to the status of the negotiations, Aaron Rodgers got what he wanted. But his antics cost him. It didn't cost him money. It costed him wins. Davante Adams. Yes, Green Bay offered him just as much as the Raiders would so he could stay. But that wasn't the point. He didn't like Aaron Rodgers' retirement talk, which we saw, of course, came from Aaron Rodgers trying to use it as leverage during his negotiations with Green Bay. But in sports, once you talk about retirement, the conversation never really leaves you. And as great as Davante Adams is, he didn't want to be stuck in a long-term contract with the Packers if Aaron was going to be out in 2-3 seasons before his own contract was up. Adams was doing some forward thinking, and we can all admire that. He was thinking forward. He was planning. Well, once Aaron Rodgers is gone, who's going to throw me the ball? Davante Adams is 29 years old. It's safe to say by the end of a long-term deal, he's not going to be as great as he is now. You age quickly in football. It's not a sport known for longevity. And as a star wide receiver, you age fast at that position, even for an athlete of his caliber and his ability. Another note, in a long-term extension, a lot of people who don't follow the business of sports know this, but a lot of the max dollars and incentives that you can earn as an athlete in a long-term max deal are attached to the back end of the deal, the later years of your agreement. Davante Adams didn't want to be worse than he is now with quarterback uncertainty while trying to earn the biggest money of his contract at the end of his contract. That's an NFL star's worst nightmare. Every agent, attorney, and friend will tell you that. You don't want to be in that situation. Being in a long-term deal with a team whose future is uncertain when you're trying to make your most money, recipe for disaster. In essence, Aaron Rodgers will not achieve another 13-win season with this roster. You need weapons. I've already told you that Aaron doesn't have a viable one or two at the wide receiver position. As a matter of fact, I said that in one of my first episodes of the Benjamin Cure Show. He didn't trust anybody in the biggest moment, in the first playoff game of the season, where he was the home favorite. He simply cannot carry a team in the NFC North by himself, quite literally, anymore. Especially not when the Minnesota Vikings are rising from the ashes. Solid quarterback, solid coach, offensive-minded, Justin Jefferson, in a weapons league. But you lost your best weapon in a weapons-driven league. In conclusion, the fallout in talent and the overall quality of play is Aaron Rodgers' fault. I'm okay with him trying to motivate the young receivers right now. Actually, they reportedly had their best practice after Aaron said that. So credit to Aaron, his approach worked. But I do not want to hear these kinds of antics or things from Aaron Rodgers during the season. It makes a already weakened team look even weaker. And Aaron Rodgers knows better. He knows that this is a result of his own actions. On deck for this afternoon, the NFL preseason continues tonight when the 1-0 Bears take on the 0-1 Seahawks. Of course, those are preseason records. The game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch the action on NFL Network, and I believe you can also start watching these out-of-market games on the new streaming service, NFL Plus. I have not signed up yet. I'm waiting until week 1 of the NFL regular season because I think they might have a promo going on then, but I will definitely become a subscriber. It seems like a pretty cool service. Next week is the last week of preseason action, and with that comes the start of the NFL regular season, so I'm going to have a special segment planned for next week's show, one that I believe is going to be a staple of this program. So I'm looking forward to it. You should too. I'm already working it, so it's going to be perfect for next week. Until next time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. I'm Benjamin Cure. You are watching The Benjamin Cure Show. I'll see you next week.